Good late Tuesday, early Wednesday meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving you a look at that satellite imagery here as we're looking toward areas there in the Atlantic Basin. We have a Category 4 hurricane, which you don't see this time of year very often. It was a Category 5, which is really unprecedented in recorded history there in the Atlantic Basin. It's a situation that Jamaica is going to really feel here as we're getting later in toward your Wednesday. So thoughts and prayers down there. As I go ahead and zoom on in, you'll be able to see there. I know that 4 indicator there to the left of where the cyclone currently is as we get toward 8 a.m. and then that 3 is by around 8 p.m. So going over Jamaica during that day on your Wednesday. So definitely of significant concern here as we're looking toward that area. I know as we kind of move the map over, you can see it weakening a good bit and maybe down into a tropical storm over the Yucatan Peninsula, but I kind of have a feeling it's not going to weaken quite that much here because it's a situation, I mean, especially this tracks just a little bit further north, we will see quite a bit of weakening probably, but even if it did get down to a tropical storm, it would be conceivable it would re-strengthen here, maybe more likely in toward a lower end hurricane here as it heads toward either northern Mexico and or southern Texas. So gonna have to really be careful here as we're looking ahead. It's very important that folks pay attention there as we're looking. I know it's a Category 4 storm right now. You see it forecast to make landfall there south of McAllen and Brownsville late Sunday night. But I don't just focus on that point. I'll go into the cone of concern here in a moment. So very important to keep that in mind. I know not going to impact Florida. That's good news. The pattern's not going to support it. It's going to be warm around here. We'll have storms at times, but not from our hurricane there, Category 4 Beryl. So that's the good news as we're looking here toward home. It is very warm though, especially, I mean, for this time of night. We're at 79 here east of Stark at 1:30 in the morning. I mean, that is remarkable, really, and not in a great way. I mean, it's kind of a more widespread pattern here. What we have is just hot and humid conditions lingering here. I know it's kind of overcast, and that kind of plays a role as well. So that kind of tells a story here as we're looking at things. As we give you the latest, I know just zooming on in there, you see some scattered shower activity, even trying to show one up. So that kind of tells that weather story. I know, go ahead and zoom on out a little bit again. I know we've had some severe weather in the Midwest. There's still some lingering flash flood warning there in northern Missouri. And I know there's a severe weather risk in play. I'll be watching toward maybe east central southeast Missouri on that Wednesday here and watching toward the heartland on the 4th of July again here for some severe weather potential. Shouldn't necessarily be an outbreak, but could be a situation where there's really hot temperature and then you have storms maybe even. So that's kind of the storyline there as we're looking ahead. I know something to follow along with as we're looking toward the heartland as we kind of go ahead and just show you this viewpoint again real quick. I do want to go to the models before I go to the cone of concern. Now, I kind of see these models here in that you kind of have to just focus on the official forecast for now. Keep in mind, as we go toward the GFS model, it's in pretty good agreement here. Maybe as we see a landfall a bit further north, it's a very strong tropical storm, almost a Category 1, and the way this numeric information kind of takes things, it's possible it could end up actually being a Category 1. Then the consensus model has it right near where the Hurricane Center's track is, and that's in northern Mexico there. But one thing we really got to watch is this scenario I'm about to say, and again, it's just one model run here, and it's a situation that we just got to really watch. So for Texas, because look at that, that is showing a major hurricane heading quite a bit further north. That's the H-Warp model here. And that's on a major hurricane hidden between about Rockport and Port Lavaca in Texas. But again, that's just one scenario. It's a scenario, though. I'm going into a long holiday weekend. We really got to pay attention. I know we're kind of sort of in alert mode here, but I wanted to kind of hedge on and not actually putting the logo red on here yet. and running the intro because it is a holiday weekend for our local area. Well, we're not going to have an impact from Beryl here, so that's the good news. Not going to have that local impact here, but as we get later on into that weekend, we'll have to transition into that alert mode. If we were in Texas and that was our local area, we would go ahead and do it, though. Make sure Hurricane Kit is up to date, because that scenario is definitely not out of the question, because there are some favorable conditions that could allow at least for it to be a hurricane. Maybe not a Cat 3, maybe a Cat 1 hitting around Brownsville here as we're looking later on Sunday. Something like that would seem to be a little more likely here at this point. So just gotta be watchful on that. Just kind of wanted to break that down for you here. I know sometimes there's a lot of hype on the internet. Don't want to look at the highest end scenarios with too much maybe kind of focus here at this point. That's, a worst case scenario right now. You just kind of have to average things together, I would say, as we go ahead and see the graphics here now. This is so in Beryl here. I know, Chris, we had that develop very quickly down and impact areas toward Mexico and fall apart. It was a very short-lived storm, about as short-lived as you ever see. I wasn't for local viewers really even worth talking about. That's how quick it evolved and fell apart. So that's the kind of the storyline there as we're looking at things, as we kind of watch things overall. But Beryl, here's a different story. It was a Cat 5, the earliest Cat 5 in the Atlantic Basin on record here. That's very serious, folks. As you may well imagine, a very serious storm, no doubt. I know, we'll show you what I'm talking about here real quick with that Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Cat 5 means, even Cat 4 means catastrophic damage, but Cat 5 is a very serious situation, obviously. That's what Michael was and Andrew and the like, and to have that in early July is unprecedented, really, in recorded history in the Atlantic Basin. Again, recorded history that doesn't go back, more than about 170 years or so, but still, that's remarkable when you think about it. We didn't have maybe all the data going into things back then further out either, but still, it is something that we really saw that is record setting. I know Emily in 05 was the previous record holder of that. It was a mid-July Cat 5 and ended up impacting Mexico. That was a very active season, as you may well remember. Granted, it does not mean that in that one really snippet of things that we're going to have big problems this hurricane season. 05, of course, was the year we ended up having Katrina, but that doesn't mean that's going to happen this year. And that season, we didn't have a lot of local impacts here. Doesn't mean we're not going to have the local impacts. So, yeah, you got to take one storm really, as an individual storm. So, it's something to kind of keep in mind. To have a hurricane like this, again, we've had hurricanes. This level of strength of a hurricane is something you just don't always see. It is in an area there, though, again, for now, away from the continental U.S., of course, Puerto Rico, a different story, but you're not getting any type of really tropical cyclone alerts down there, so that's the good news as we're looking into the head Maria. They're still recovering from that in some way. I know there's a coastal flood advisory, high surf advisory, but nothing just overwhelming for them. So that's the good news. I know we got to watch out for rip current risk toward the Gulf Coast beaches over the holiday weekend as well. Let me make sure I mention that, because folks might be letting their guard down here. It might be sunny at times there at the beaches, but you have some of those rip currents there because of this pattern coming into play. It could be really problematic here. Just be careful in that regard. And then as we go ahead and look here, this is the 11 o'clock update. Let me see if our 2 o'clock update is coming from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida yet. It is not coming, but 150 mile an hour max sustained winds. That minimum pressure 947 millibars. And just keep in mind, those in and near the cone of concerns that have their hurricane kit up to date. This includes some in the state of Texas there, the Lone Star State. So you see a hurricane watch toward parts of Mexico in that light pink there. Hurricane warning areas like Jamaica, maybe a major hurricane strike for them. So that could be really problematic depending on exactly how things evolve on your Wednesday there. So time is running out really to prepare in Jamaica as this could be a very serious blow to them, depending on the ultimate track. Sometimes hurricanes have a tendency to go around them. We'll see, but this could be serious depending on just exactly how things evolve over there. You see right now it's showing a weakening down to a tropical storm, and it'll be a very strong, but tropical storm nonetheless here toward Mexico Sunday at 8 p.m. They're discussing right now, talks about how it'll be on that coast with 70-mile-an-hour maximum sustained winds. So I know they're emphasizing as well there's uncertainty in the track and intensity forecast here of Beryl over the western Gulf of Mexico this weekend here. You got to keep that in mind. And interest in the western Gulf of Mexico should monitor the progress of Beryl. Holiday weekend. I know we're not doing a full update on the 4th of July here on our end. It's not going to be a local impact, but you can't let your guard down over the holiday weekend. And they're not saying it on that line of this, but that includes Texas here. You need to pay attention all up and down the coast there in Texas because things can shift in a hurry, and if you're not paying attention, you could get caught off guard. And I know in case there were to be evacuations or something here, not saying that there will be, but even in like a Cat 1, depending on how the pattern evolves, there could still be some pretty significant storm surge. I mean, Alberto even had some of that, and it was not a situation, a storm quite like this one here. I know the size of that one played a role, but this has more strength too, and it's built up more strength. I know. Just real quick off topic to some degree, but Alberta this year we had, but in the 94th anniversary, I know is really in that time frame about now here on the 4th of July. Just a tragic storm there towards southwest Georgia. So many lives are lost from that flood, and that's the hidden danger of tropical cyclones. So that one just really dumped so much precip. I know next 7 days in terms of rainfall, not expecting anything overwhelming maybe. Right now we're southern Texas, but this is subject to change based on the track of Beryl here. I know you can go to clutter.com/radar for an interactive look at things there, and I know we'll be on for local storms here and Beryl situation as needed. I know no formal update late Thursday. I may have to stream that later though, as we're looking ahead on things. It's depending on how the overall weather situations locally evolve here toward the 4th of July and the like for those fireworks. We're just going to have to be watchful of that. I know you can kind of see here toward like Lake City and Lake Butler there, and up and toward like Eccles County, you can see around 2 inches of rain expected over the next 7 days. So just something to kind of watch for there. I know again we'll be on if needed and as needed here for local weather for Beryl. Just giving you the latest, but no formal update late Thursday. So just kind of keep that in mind as we're looking at things here as we monitor the scenario. I know again this could change drastically for South Texas there, the Texas coast, based on the ultimate track of Beryl. So keep that in mind. We could have much more in the way of precip, much more in the way of flooding potential out that way, depending on the ultimate track there of Beryl. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind there as we're looking at things, as we give you the very latest to protect you, protect your friends, and protect your family. Let's see if there's any questions or comments. It looks like there are some on Twitch here. I know just kind of seeing the situation here. I know we got to watch Jamaica very carefully. This could be a serious situation for them. And as we go ahead and say you now, though, a more fun topic, and that is the Star-Spangled Splash Bass here toward Bradford County, Thursday through Saturday, so the 4th to the 6th there, as we celebrate Independence Day. You can see 9 a.m., that's when the parade's going to be toward downtown Stark, and we're expecting a low risk there for issues from the weather during that time frame. So that's some good news here. Still got to be hydrated though. I mean, it's not going to be really hot then. The heat index won't be in the triple digits or anything at that point of the day, but it'll still be pretty warm, so still be hydrated. Storm chances not really much of a factor then, but isolated shower can't be ruled out. But then in the PM hours here, we'll have to be watchful of things. I'll be there Thursday through Saturday, and I know the storm chances as we're looking toward the fairgrounds On Thursday, look to be the highest there. I know looking at some of the model guidance around 6 p.m. or so, could have some storminess around. Hopefully that clears out in time for fireworks. And then as we look toward Friday and Saturday, it's again very important to hydrate. Stay hydrated here because you could really become, in a vulnerable state pretty quickly there with the higher heat index values. We're talking about triple-digit heat index values during the peak heat of the day, during parts of this time frame, in the PM hours here at the fairgrounds. So make sure you're staying hydrated. We don't want folks to suffer, heat stroke and the like. There'll be plenty of opportunities to stay hydrated, so make sure you take advantage there because you don't want to be in a vulnerable state there. So again, 40% chance of rain on Friday and storms. And same for Saturday. Hopefully we don't get them here, but there's definitely a possibility, a medium risk there for some risk from the weather there on Friday the 5th and Saturday the 6th. So hopefully it'll be a good time. Just stay hydrated and hope the storms stay away and everything will be enjoyable as we're looking there Thursday through Saturday, it would seem. So let's go ahead and now say there that planning forecast, that 4th of July. This is the more broad area forecast. So you see 60% chance of rain Wednesday and Thursday, and then I do a little bit higher chance on Friday than what I do for Stark proper. That's because of the overall pattern of bringing a little more moisture toward like Tallahassee or South Georgia. On Saturday, 40% chance of rain, more moisture maybe Sunday through Tuesday. It's kind of up in the air as we look there because even though we're not going to get the impact from Beryl directly, the patterns are going to be kind of tricky to forecast as we get, Sunday through Tuesday there. So kind of had to broad brush things a little bit as we look in that time frame, but because the models, even seeing the America model try to develop a second system and headed toward Texas next week. Hopefully that doesn't happen. It's not out of the question, but right now that's not something we're really focusing on. But you definitely see the above average temperatures, these warm conditions. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Drink plenty of water. Make sure you're doing that because as long as you do that, you should be okay here. Also, just whenever thunder roars, go indoors. But of course, folks will be going indoors there once lightning is within a certain radius there, as we're looking on that Thursday through that Saturday as necessary. So I'm talking about the fairgrounds, but also just broadly for any event in our 62 counties here. I mean, we're based in Stark, so focusing on that. But just whenever thunder roars, go indoors. As I know, heat advisory, though, that's what we've been seeing off towards like Alabama. As we look toward Wednesday, could have some of those around our area here. And the tips for that are just drinking plenty of fluids, really. Here, just kind of looking at some of the information directly from the Weather Service there and Mobile, just reading off some of their tips for these type of situations they're seeing out there, and they apply out here too, of course. But just as you feel it is necessary, stay in that air-conditioned room. Again, as needed, stay out of the sun. I know you want to check up on those relatives and neighbors, and then just take extra precautions when you're outside. Wear lightweight and loose-fitting clothing. Try to limit strenuous activities to early morning or evening, and take action when you see symptoms of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. So I just kind of want to let you know about that there. Again, it's going to be fun times here across the region if you're staying hydrated, though. But you see mid-90s, the storyline. I know going to have fireworks all around here, and that's to be awesome here. Just stay safe with those too, especially if you're not going to a public event. But you can see here as we look mid-70s there in the morning hours, so again above average. It's going to be pretty nasty in some ways here. It's going to be kind of sticky, humid. So again, just enjoy things, but wear lightweight and loose-fitting clothing. That's just something really important to keep in mind as we're looking at things now. As we're kind of looking at the situation, there's elderly folks, children. You just got to be really careful here that they don't get overexerted here in this type of situation. So, as long as you take the precautions, drink plenty of fluids. You should be in pretty good shape, but just drink plenty of fluids here as we look ahead into the timeline. I know as we kind of just look at things here, you can see, just kind of giving you the latest. Let's see, the storm chances here locally, 60% Wednesday, Thursday. Let me see if we got any new information on Beryl now. I know that was the name of the storm that hit the first coast as a strong tropical storm in 2012. It does not look like we have any new updates on Beryl. Let me see if they have any new cyclone outlook. They do not. I know the DFS was interesting, so I thought I would kind of look into those details. But nothing new on that as of now. Another system out there only has a 20% chance of development in the next 7 days, so that's good news for now. But again, that's kind of the storyline there. Let me kind of see here, just if there's anything else going on here of note. Again, I thank you so much for tuning in and trusting me here tonight. Again, let's look here. Here's your hurricane wind scale. Of course, again, as we kind of bring our attention here, I'll get our infrared satellite pulled back up there on Beryl, and we'll zoom on in a little bit. I know right now, Beryl there, as we're looking at things, it is currently there south of Hispaniola, south of Haiti. So that definitely kind of helps to tell that weather story there. You see the eye kind of going away some, which is good. Maybe losing a little bit of that structure, but you see all that thunderstorm activity, those purples. That's very cold cloud tops, indicative of significant storm activity here with this hurricane. So just gotta keep that in mind here, wrapped around that eye. And we'll go back 4 hours to see the comparison. And well, even then you didn't see that eye all the way out, but it looked just a bit more organized than we're expecting some weakening. But I mean, you don't just, unless you're hitting a mountain or really just stand right over land, you know, you're not going to go from a Cat 5 to a tropical storm all that quickly here. But there is a wind shear factor in play, but a lot of warm water temperatures too. So it's a kind of a give and take here. It's kind of a give and take. Definitely going to weaken here, and probably a good bit. But the question is, it may, you know, it maybe or maybe it will not be a hurricane as it approaches Texas. I would lean toward maybe a lower end hurricane right now. That's what I'd be preparing for. You're supposed to prepare for a category higher than the forecast anyway. So the official forecast is in white there. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the other information. And that's a strong tropical storm, so prepare for a Category 1 hurricane right now. In my opinion, that's what I'd be doing around Brownsville, McAllen there, and Raymondville. Those areas especially, even up the coast, and that's a pretty rural county there. Even Corpus Christi. In that area, that's where in the U.S. right now, I'd be kind of preparing, you know, for that Category 1 hurricane, have those extra batteries ready, that water, and the like. The rest of Texas, the coastline, right now, the cone of concern hadn't maybe evolved enough to, you know, really dive into that, except just making sure, you know, still that hurricane kit is up to date. But, you know, it's not a situation where we just have to absolutely, for sure, have just everything on hand there that you would need to go through a Category 1 hurricane. But, you know, as we're looking at things, you still want to have the essentials there that you kind of always have, you know, first aid kit and the like here in place. So just kind of keep that in mind there as we're looking at things. We're going to go ahead and zoom back out a little bit. It looks like they did just send a new outlook out. Still 20% for the other area out in the Atlantic. The new update on Beryl did not come in yet. So let me kind of look here. Let me just go ahead and see what Recon was finding there. I know as we kind of look out there, this is as we were looking a little bit earlier on, but we had 135 knot wind there. I mean, it's not weakening that much, and the pressure 944 millibars there, the lowest. So that's significant there. I know they had 947 official advisory, but I mean, you know, this is kind of tells the story. It's still a pretty substantial storm. As we're kind of looking at things out there, I know it's kind of an odd pattern, but that's how they fly through these storms. The Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft. So again, just kind of trying to give you the latest there Just trying to give you the very latest here on the scenario. I'll go ahead and zoom back out. Just trying to see if we have any new updates on this before we wrap it on up. See if the winds have changed any. Last update was 150-mile-an-hour winds. I know there's a hurricane warning there for Jamaica, for Grand Cayman, for Little Cayman. You kind of get the idea there as we're looking at hurricane watch for the south coast there of Haiti as we're kind of looking at things. And then we have that, from the border with the Dominican Republic even. And you have that hurricane watch over toward the east coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. Part of that involved in things as well. So just kind of giving you the latest here on the situation. Okay, new updates just in. 145-mile-an-hour max sustained winds, 946 millibars. The pressure, and this is a very fast-moving hurricane to be this strong. That's another reason why it might be a little harder to weaken. I might have trouble filling some of that, shear and the like here. The terrain, whatever it kind of gets into over land. I mean, it's moving west-northwest at 22 miles an hour. That's a fast movement here as we're looking at things. And I think, thinking of and speaking of fast hurricanes in the past, I know Charlie was one there in 04 that went across central Florida as we're coming up on that 20th anniversary of that hurricane season. When we had Charlie, we had Francis, we had Jean. I know, some of the state getting those worse than we did in our viewing circle, especially Charlie. That was more to the south that kind of shifted last minute. But that was a hurricane, honestly, right now. It kind of compares to what this is in its current state in some ways, as we're looking at things here, the fast movement and the Category 4 status. So, kind of interesting. Now, that strengthened kind of quickly. This peaked out of the Cat 5. So, that might be about where the similarity ends for now. But not headed toward Florida. That's the good news. That's not something we can always say here. And might not be able to see it later in hurricane season. But Beryl this year, I know it did in 2012, and this year, this storm system not gonna hit Florida as a hurricane. That is a certainty. So I didn't want to say like I haven't gone through everything, like do the remnants loop back around or something after being over land. I haven't looked into all that, but not gonna hit it Florida as a hurricane. That's the good news here. So not seeing anything like that in the modeling right now, but just thought I'd kind of preface it with that. And sometimes I know Ike there, the remnants of that, had a pretty big impact, even toward like the Heartland, I believe it was there, as we were looking back to 2008, I believe, toward America's Heartland even. So again, that's why I want to preface it with that. But again, that's going to go ahead and do it for now, I think. Thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me again. No formal update on Thursday here. One more thing I do want to mention before we kind of wrap it, though. I'll go back to our local view per se. You see Orlando on there, and I know Marion and Flagler County viewers, they've depended on WKMG Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells for many years, about 24 years or so, and he retired there. His last day on TV on that CBS affiliate was Friday. There, as we're looking toward Orlando, Central Florida, he covered Charlie there and Francis and Jean in 04, and I just want to congratulate him on his retirement there after many years of dedicated service there to the Orlando TV market, including in our coverage area, Marion and Flagler counties. So, just kind of real quick there, just remind you of our covered area here. As I switch over to coverage map, you can see what I'm talking about there. Of course, we're always watching things. We're always tracking here to give you the latest. Trying to give you the updates here as conditions do warrant. Just make sure you stay tuned, of course. We have all the different platforms here. We have warnings popping up locally. We'll be posting about that information. And may even have a special radar stream on the 4th of July here, depending on how things kind of play on out. So, that's going to do it for now. Thanks so much again for tuning on in. Hope you have a great night here. Again, we're watching the tropics. We're watching Beryl here. I'm watching it very carefully. And you'll be able to see here the infrared satellite view of it. And then you see where Puerto Rico is. That's where San Juan is. You see Cuba there. And that kind of gives you an idea of where this storm is at the present time. Stay safe here during the holiday weekend, and we'll be back here with the latest. As necessary. Happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day.